There once lived a king who was so worried about his donkey that he set out to look for a son-in-law who would take care of it. He wanted his donkey to go to someone who would love it like their own child. The king gathered all the bachelors from around the kingdom and gave them a test. He put each one up on the back of the donkey and asked them to ride it around the market square. If the donkey stopped, the bachelor was out. But after many rounds, there was still one bachelor left. Not only had he not fallen off, but he hadn't even touched the donkey with a whip or uttered a harsh word. And when they returned home, the king asked him, "How did you do it?" To which the man replied, "Well, your majesty, before I got on the donkey, I asked its advice on how we should ride together." The king was shocked. "You asked the animal's advice? How could you expect it to listen?" And the man said, "Well, your majesty, just as I wanted to know what was best for me, so too must you choose a wife for your daughter based on her wishes." And so the king did. And the people of the kingdom lived happily ever after. Hey friends, welcome to this channel. Today's story is folk wisdom. Do you know what wisdom is? It's not something you read in books. It's the understanding that comes from life experience. This is especially true of folk wisdom, which is the practical knowledge people have developed over generations through their everyday lives. In other words, it's the lessons we learn from our experiences passed down from generation to generation. This kind of wisdom can be found in classic stories and myths, tales that have stood the test of time because they hold valuable lessons for us. They offer guidance on how to deal with the ups and downs of life and help us make sense of the world around us. So grab some popcorn and get ready for an adventure full of fascinating stories and profound lessons. Let's dive into the world of folk wisdom together. Now let's begin by asking, what is folk wisdom? As mentioned earlier, folk wisdom is the traditional knowledge and insights that have been accumulated and shared by ordinary people over many years. It's the kind of wisdom that's rooted in everyday life and is based on practical experience rather than formal education. This type of wisdom is often expressed in proverbs, sayings, riddles, and stories, which are then passed down through oral tradition from one generation to the next. Now let's explore why folk wisdom is so important. First, folk wisdom provides us with a sense of continuity and connection to our cultural heritage. It helps us understand where we come from and the values and beliefs that have shaped our society. When we hear a story or proverb that has been around for generations, we feel a sense of belonging and identity. Second, folk wisdom offers guidance and advice on how to live our lives. Proverbs such as "a stitch in time saves nine" or "don't put off until tomorrow what you can do today" offer practical tips on how to deal with everyday situations. By learning from the experiences of our ancestors, we can avoid making the same mistakes and become more effective problem solvers. Third, folk wisdom can also teach us about the human condition and help us cope with difficult situations. Stories of perseverance and courage can inspire us to keep going when we face challenges. For example, the tale of the boy who cried wolf teaches us the importance of honesty and the consequences of lying. Similarly, the story of Hansel and Gretel highlights the power of hope and resilience in the face of adversity. Finally, folk wisdom can be a source of entertainment and enjoyment. Proverbs and stories are often embedded with humor and creativity that can make them a lot of fun to share and listen to. Telling and hearing stories is a great way to bond with others and create lasting memories. Overall, folk wisdom is an essential part of our cultural heritage that can teach us valuable lessons about life, help us cope with challenges, and bring us closer together as a community. By preserving and sharing these stories and sayings, we can ensure that future generations will benefit from the hard-earned knowledge of those who came before us. Let's now discuss some examples of folk wisdom. First, we have the saying, "Don't count your chickens before they hatch." This proverb means that we should not rely on something happening in the future until it actually happens. It reminds us to be cautious and not get ahead of ourselves. For example, if you're planning to buy a new car with money you haven't earned yet, this proverb is a good reminder to stay grounded and not make any premature plans. Next, we have the story of the tortoise and the hare. This classic tale teaches us the importance of perseverance and consistency. The tortoise, although slow and steady, wins the race against the hare, who is faster but gets distracted along the way. This story reminds us that it's not enough to have talent or potential. We must also put in the effort and stay focused on our goals. Another popular proverb is "actions speak louder than words." This saying highlights the importance of being sincere and following through on our promises. It's easy to say that we'll do something, but it's our actions that truly demonstrate our commitment and reliability. For instance, if a friend asks for our help and we say we'll be there for them, but we don't show up when they need us, our words become meaningless. Finally, we have the story of the boy who cried wolf. This story illustrates the consequences of lying and how it can erode trust. A young shepherd boy repeatedly lies about a wolf attacking his sheep, and when a real wolf appears, nobody believes him. This teaches us the importance of honesty and integrity in building relationships, and the negative repercussions of being dishonest. Now let's move on to some ways to incorporate folk wisdom into our lives. First, we can actively seek out stories and proverbs that resonate with us. This can be done by reading books, listening to elders in our community, or exploring online resources. By immersing ourselves in these tales, we can begin to appreciate the wisdom they contain and apply it to our daily lives. Second, we can engage in discussions and debates with others about the lessons we learn from these stories. By sharing our perspectives and hearing how others interpret the tales, we can gain new insights and strengthen our understanding of the wisdom they hold. We can also use stories as a teaching tool for younger generations, passing down the valuable lessons they contain to ensure that the wisdom of our culture continues to thrive. By sharing these stories, we not only entertain, but also educate and inspire those around us. In conclusion, folk wisdom is an invaluable treasure trove of knowledge and insight that can enrich our lives and guide us through the complexities of the human experience. From the age-old proverb, "Don't count your chickens before they hatch," to the timeless tale of the tortoise and the hare. These stories and sayings offer timeless wisdom that can help us navigate the challenges and triumphs of life. By actively seeking out, discussing, and incorporating folk wisdom into our lives, we can tap into the collective knowledge of generations past and use it to make better decisions, overcome obstacles, and become more fulfilled individuals. So let us celebrate the power of folk wisdom and strive to preserve and share these valuable traditions for the benefit of ourselves and future generations. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the world of folk wisdom. If you enjoyed this episode and want to continue exploring the depths of human knowledge and understanding, please subscribe and leave a comment below with your thoughts or suggestions for future episodes. And don't forget to tune in next time for another thought-provoking adventure. Until then, stay curious and keep seeking wisdom in all corners of life.